What's going on, YouTubers? This is JB Sports, back with another one. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA basketball. James Harden versus the Greek Freak. Who is the MVP? I'm going to break down each one of these guys, and I'm going to tell you who I think should be this year's MVP. First of all, let's talk about James Harden. James Harden is having an unbelievable season. The guy is averaging 36 points a game, more than 8 points more than the second leading scorer in the NBA, Paul George, at 28 points per game. He's having an unbelievable. Just let that sink in. 8 points. He is scoring 4 more baskets than the second leading scorer in the NBA. It hasn't been that much difference between the first in scoring and the second in scoring since 1987-1988 season when Michael Jordan led by a huge margin. But even him, I don't think his margin was 8 points. I think it was around 6 or 7 points. That just gives you an idea of how great it was. Correct that. I think Michael Jordan average was around about the same as Harden. I think he is around close to 8 points per game between Jordan and the second leading scorer. So that's just letting you know what kind of rarefied air that James Harden is playing at this year. Unbelievable. You look at the rebounds and assists. The guy's having an unbelievable year. I think he's averaging 7 rebounds a game and averaging around about 8 assists a game. So he's not only scoring at a high clip, but he's getting his other teammates involved also. So he's having a real good season. Another positive thing in his column is steals. The guy is second in steals behind Paul George. Paul George is number 1, and he's number 2 in steals. So that kind of get rid of the myth that he's a liability on the defensive end of the court. He's actually contributing on that end too. The only negative thing is his defensive efficiency ranking. You know, that's kind of like, to me, it's almost kind of like fantasy football. You know, how when you do the numbers, how effective is that really, and how actual those numbers pertaining to his actual effectiveness on the court. But he's ranked number 101 in defensive ratings, and Greek Freak is ranked number 1 in defensive rating. So that's a real big positive in Greek Freak's column. But let's look at the overall season that James Harden had. This year, he's had to carry the team. They've had a lot of injuries. They had Chris Paul hurt. They've had Clint Capella hurt. They've had Eric Gordon hurt. They started the year off at 11-14. They were 14 in the Western Conference out of 15 teams. They were second to last when he took over and went into this unbelievable historic scoring run. Now they're sitting at 3rd seed in the West with an outside chance of getting the number 2 seed, as they have played unbelievable ball. They've won 52 games, 52-28. So you go from 11-14 to 52-28. So what that is, that's what, 41 and 14 stretch. 41-14 stretch. So he's been playing unbelievable ball, man. The guy's unbelievable, having a real good season. Let's go to the Greek Freak. The Greek Freak is having an unbelievable year too. Take nothing away from this guy. He's having an unbelievable year. I really like the way he played the game. The guy's averaging 27, damn near 28 points a game, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists. Only 2 players in the history of the NBA has averaged those type of numbers. That's Wilt Chamberlain and Oscar Robertson. Big old Robertson. That's the only 2 guys in the history that have put up those type of numbers that Greek Freak is putting up this year. Those 2 are the all-time greats, those 2 guys there. So he's having an unbelievable year. His defensive rating is number 1. The guy's having an unbelievable year. Number 1 defensive rating. And his team's got the best record. They won 59 games this year, playing unbelievable ball. They pushed the best record in the NBA. He's having an unbelievable year. But one thing that he's had that Harden hasn't had is he's had an all-star. Chris Middleton is averaging close to 20 points a game, made the all-star team. One of the best shooters in the NBA. Real good outside shooter. Good mid-range game and a good 3-point shooter at that. The guy is unbelievable. James Harden didn't have an all-star player on his with him this year. You know, Chris Paul was hurt, missed most of the season, didn't make the All-Star team. You know, so that's another thing that you got to take into account when you're trying to figure out who is this year's MVP. Okay, another thing that Greek Freak has done is he's really elevated his game, man. I think like you say, he's averaging 27 points a game. I think his career average is around 18, so he's averaging 9 points more than his career average. So he's really elevated his game this year. And even James Harden, his career average is around 24 points a game, and he's averaging 36. So he's 12 points better than his career average. So he's having an unbelievable year. I think my MVP is James Harden. I just think he didn't have an all-star like Greek Freak. He went on a scoring streak, historic scoring streak, averaging more than 30 points a game for what he had the second longest streak in the history of the NBA behind Wilt Chamberlain. That's unbelievable. I just think he's the MVP. You know, he took a team that had injuries throughout the season, and on the constant that was there was James Harden. He was putting up monster numbers. I think the Greek Freak should not go home without a trophy. I think he should win defensive MVP. He's ranked number one of the best weak side shot blockers in the game, and he's a good on-ball shot blocker. I think he's one of the top leaders in shot blocking, block shots, and he's having an unbelievable year on that end of the court also. He's having an unbelievable year. But whoever wins the MVP, you can't go wrong. But I just think James Harden is this year's MVP, and I think the Greek Freak is the defensive MVP. So we'll see how it plays out. You got a couple of more games during the season. They'll announce the winner sometime sometime in June. You know, after the season, they have that award show that'll be coming on TNT, and they'll announce the winner. But people will know before then who actually won, and you know the word will leak out that you know who's won before then, who's the favorite to win it, or who's pretty much going to win it. It'll be pretty leaked out before the award show. But we'll see what happens. Again, this is JB Sports, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another good one. Peace.